Hello class, this is Professor Tweed here, continuing in the video series about developing this small house, learning AutoCAD, learning residential construction. And in this set of videos we'll be looking at the first floor plan, which if you went to Vanco Hall and opened up your floor plans, and you'd see the instructions, and I'm just showing up on the screen the last page here, which is the first floor plan. We're basically going to draw this as is, just like last week. There's a couple extra notes within the instructions that you have to add to the plan as needed, and you'll sort of have to refer to draw certain sized elements. But the key of this plan is that because this is a first floor plan and last week we drew the foundation plan, this plan needs to match, it needs to be consistent with that first, I'll call it first drawing, happens to be the basement drawing. And when I open AutoCAD here, I'll show you how to make it perfect, perfect alignment. So I'm going to just pull this off screen here. I've already have AutoCAD open. I've opened my template, but what I'm actually going to do, instead of starting from a blank drawing, because I want my first floor to match my foundation, I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to go to wherever you're saving your files, and I'm going to open the foundation plan that we did last week. File, Open, so here it is. And I'm going to go to Model Space because we will ultimately, have to put our first floor plan into a paper layout like this, but I'm going to go into Model Space to draw it. And what I'm going to do is I really just want to, there's lots of ways of doing this in AutoCAD, and but what I essentially want is I want the exterior walls of this foundation. I'm going to copy those, as well as my section tabs and my stairs. I'm going to copy those all over to the right hand side because those will be the same for the first floor plan. So I'll be able to start drawing with content already there, and all the sort of exterior dimensions that you see on the plan, of course, are going to be needed to build the house, but I won't have to sort of redraw all that work. So I'm going to come in. You could draw a line, you could do any number of things, but I'm going to draw it now. So we know that our stud wall, we drew a little primary wall section previously in this class, but we know the stud wall sits right at the edge of the concrete wall. So this is the line that I basically need. So I'll just start my copy command. I did CO. You could hit the button up top. But I'm going to go around, and even this chimney will become a fireplace up on the next level. And you can see I'm making sure I'm getting the concrete wall, not the insulation layer there. And I might come and fillet this in, but let's see, we're actually going to have in the first floor both the brick is going to come up, as well as the concrete that our studs will sit on. So I can actually grab both of those lines at this point in time. Come through. In fact, I can probably grab that hatch, although I might have to edit the hatch later on because there's probably going to be doors and or windows in this file. Haven't looked closely at that yet. Presumably we're going to have a wall coming up here because I can see now this is indeed a garage, which I was fairly certain of last week, but now that I have the first floor in front of me, I can see that. So this wall will be the wall for the house wall, structural element there, but I'll also need the garage itself to come out here and here. There we go. So I'm all the way around now. Some other things I know I'm going to need this tag. I'm going to need this tag. I'm going to take all of the stairs right now. Again, some of the detailing of railing and stuff, it's possible it's different as we get up to the first floor, but the treads, which is what I have here, are going to be the same. So I might as well copy those. Copy my brake line even. I'm sure I'll have to adjust that as we're going. This line, if you recall from the video, if you watched it, I actually had to guess this line because I didn't have the first floor plan. So I'm not going to worry about this green part because I know it's not accurate. And I won't do it in the video, but what I really should do is once I get the first floor drawn, come back and edit that plan in. The other thing I can do is, although I won't need the foundations for the plans I'm working on, I'm going to grab the foundations here because the center points of these tubes will mark out the columns of the porch and the deck that are in this house. So I think I got everything. If not, I can always come back and grab it, but I'm done selecting, so I'm going to push enter. I'm going to pick a base point. Oh, look, I missed the whole side there. That's perfectly fine. Actually, I didn't. I know what I did wrong, but I'm going to move it right over. I'm going to make sure it's straight and even. That might help me out. I'm going to give myself plenty of room to give dimensionings. There's really no magic spacing. The viewports on the sheets will take care of everything. So I'm just going to click it. Push enter when I'm done. There is a bunch of doors and windows in here, which is why these lines didn't close. So I can either fillet this together or just drag this straight down. And of course there'll be new windows and doors that will go into here as we go along. So that's a really great place to start. Now, just like we did before, I can go along here and on the interior, just sort of offset these lines to get the interior door widths. And I think we were using 2x6s for the exterior wall, so that'll give us a 5.5-inch wall thickness. Actually, let's see, I think maybe it's marked. Actually, they're doing 6.5 inches because I'm sure they're counting some finished material on there. So it's marked at 6.5 inches, so I'm going to offset 6.5 inches. And I'm just going to offset these walls in. The fireplace itself is going to be drawn sort of differently, and I think I'm going to actually draw it a little differently than shown in the plan, because it looks like in the plan there's a stud wall that goes around the fireplace, and I don't think that's correct. So we'll come back and I'll show you that in the video. If you happen to draw it like you see it in the drawing, I won't mark off for that, since you know, not everyone's necessarily following the videos intensely. And the garage width being that it's also just going to be a stud wall, probably with drywall. Okay, I just had someone come into my office, so it's been quite a while since I was back to this video, but I think I was basically just showing that we copied over these walls, and I was filleting and cleaning up. Oh, I guess I was offsetting the interior walls, so I can do some fillets to clean those up where need be. This one, I always like to keep straight lines. So yes, this will be broken up at some point, but rather than offsetting 3 lines here, I'm going to make them all one line there, and got to offset that guy. Fill it here and fill it here. So there we go. There's my exterior walls. A good enough start for now. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start laying out the interior walls. Now, one of the things you'll notice in this floor plan that a lot of the interior walls, as well as the windows and the doors, they're all dimensioned from their center point. And you'll note, if they were measured to their edges, it certainly would be a lot easier to draw in AutoCAD if you're just copying it as we're doing here. But there is a specific reason why they're marked to the center point. The reason is walls if it's a bathroom or even a kitchen or really anywhere, could have a different kind of finish which change their wall thickness. So if you're dimensioning to the edge of the wall and you go and specify a certain kind of thickness, it could change the real wall thickness, and that could offset a room on the other side inappropriately. The same with windows, especially when you're beginning window design. You might not know the manufacturer you're using. In fact, as it goes out, you might not know the manufacturer. And there's slight differences between windows and window brands and what's the prices and options and all these things. And so if you dimension to the center, it will be placed in the right spot, and you have some sort of give and take along the edges. So that's why a lot of times, especially in residential construction, you see so much of the dimensioning happening to the center points of these elements. It's to help the construction process, to give leeway for all these slight variations that might come up along the way. Of course, that makes it a little more difficult to draw in AutoCAD, because we have to draw center lines and then offset them to get the edges, but that's the way it is. So that's what we'll do, and I'll basically just go through and start dimensioning and offsetting, drawing lots of construction lines and various other techniques to get this done. Now I'm going to since I'm going to start really the first, I did, amazingly did all of this work, didn't even draw a single line, did not use the draw tool at all. But so since I'm going to do walls, I'm going to switch to the wall layer and get going. I'm going to start in this corner. At least we'll give it a try. It looks like this is a little washroom or something up in here, and it's the center of that wall is 6'5" from the edge of the wall. Oops, I can fillet this together. It's okay, I can always fix things. So I'm going to offset 6'5". I'm going to come over that way, and then these interior walls, the interior walls are 4.5 inches, but that's the center line, so it's 2¼ inches on each side. So I'm going to offset 2.25. Bang, bang. And I'm just going to, while I'm doing this, erase that there. You know what, I can do this in any order, but just to keep things clean for now, I'm going to extend those up, EX, return, return, and then I'm going to trim TR, return, return, out that point, because when walls come together, you always clean them up like that. This wall comes down unknown amount, so if I'm going to set this closet here, I'm going to actually have to work from the opposite side up, which I can do. And the first wall is 11 foot up from the exterior of the brick. Or sorry, 1110. Most of you guys out there have younger eyes than I do, so you can see these small printouts that we provided a little easier. Again, we're going to offset then 2.25 each way to get the center point of that wall going in that direction. And this is coming across this way, and then we can see that this wall that I set here actually does end at this location on the plan. So I'm going to trim that up there and trim this up this way. The edge of this wall is yet to be defined. I'll have to work on it later, but I'll keep going up and clean up this side just by doing a couple trims just like that. And there is an opening in here as well that I'll come back and put in later. I'm going to assume, might have to make some assumptions because I don't see a dimension there, but I might base it off the door that's up higher. So when I get to that, that'll work. Alright, so I should have actually kept this center line in here because I can just offset this now for the next one, which is offset 7 foot 5.25 inches. So that's going to be the next wall up and the next one up there. I'm just going to do the center points for now because that's how this is all defined all the way up. So I'm going to offset 4 feet up, and then, oops, I missed. I forgot to press enter there. Offset that one 4 feet up. Then I'm going to offset another 2 foot 10.25. And that's going to be the start of this little closet that I was trying to work from. So I can offset each of these 2¼ inches on each side now to get the actual wall thickness. And I can erase all these center points. I don't think I will need them again. If I do, I'll just redraw them. Not a big deal. Alright, so I have to look closely at the walls. So this wall here will run from wall to wall. So I can trim this guy up. Well, I'll come back and do doors later, but there will be a door right in here into this washroom. But the rest of these walls, they don't go over. But I'm going to guess. I'm going to make an assumption because I don't see a dimension here. If I find one, I can always come back and edit it. But this is going to be a closet here. Most closets are 2 feet wide, so I'm going to offset 2 foot. And I'm going to do 2 foot clear because that's usually what you want closets to be. So I'm going to offset 2 foot from the wall. Then I'm going to offset the 4.5 inches for the wall. And I'm going to set the plane of this space. Now hopefully I have room for my 30-inch door and things like that. I think that I will. So I'm going to trim this up here. Again, the great thing about AutoCAD, if I happen to be wrong here, I can always fix it later. So all this wall and this wall, they both end at this plane here. So this, just looking This comes down and makes a 90-degree corner. That's what's going on here. And then this one is just a wall that comes out. There's a butler pantry is what it's called out here. Now this you notice the line I just erased here is actually a line in the drawing, but we don't want it to be on the wall layer because that'll make it too thick. So I've just erased it all the way down because I'm just working on the walls, right? And actually this then will set this straight down. I could have kept that line there. And then this line, well, actually yet to be defined. I can erase that line there. So there's a little bit of wall that comes out to the right hand side here. Yeah, I don't see a dimension here. We know if you're going to get some 2x4s in there, a couple 2x4s, you're talking about 3 inches right there plus some finish. So 3.5 inches would probably be the minimum over. I might go with that. Offset 3.5 inches here to extend that down. And now I can just trim this opening right like that. And I think that's the same thing is happening on this side right here. They got a little wall to make it like a little opening here. So I'm just going to pull those lines over, trim that up to get that effect. And then I will just say, I'm just going to put this wall here for now. I'm not doing doors really yet, but since it's all in alignment, my door is going to start there and come over. So I'll just mark that point at this point in time and keep going on with my walls. So now there's some wall that's going to come from over here. It looks like actually it's just a lining from this wall down here. This wall just goes straight up according to the drawing. So I can actually just pull this up, and it's going to go up all the way up to somewhere up here. Oops. Somehow I missed those lines when I was working on the other door, so I'll just draw these back in. Not a problem. We all make mistakes, right? I'm going to offset this 4.5 inches for the wall thickness. Trim that up there. In this case, this wall dies into this wall. So trim that up like that. And there's a bathroom here. This bathroom is defined 5 foot wide, or sorry, 5'6" from the center lines of wall. So I'm going to have to offset 2.25 again to find the center point there. Offset this 5'6" to find the center point on the other side, and then offset this 2.25 on each side to find the edge of the bathroom wall up in this location, and trim that out there and there. And then the top of this wall is actually ending even with this line there. So I'll draw a guideline over and trim away what I don't need, just like that. And there is a wall in here, which is 3 8 3/4 over from the center point of this wall. So I've got to find the center point, 2.25 inch offset, then offset 3 foot 8.75 to here, and I'll offset that again, the 2.25 to each side to get the wall location. I'll clean up those center points, draw the cap of the wall, and trim up this wall. Again, do you have to do it in the exact order I'm doing here? No. Could I have consolidated some commands? I probably could have. But that's the way I did it, and you just want to get something similar. So we got these walls here. There is, if I sort of am going from this right to left sort of scheme, there's a little wall somewhere up in here, which I really can only get from drawing from this way over. So from the outside line, it's offset 12 foot 3. Oh, my hand skid over the touchpad. I ended the command there. I got to start again. So I'm going to offset 12 foot 3.75 inches. That's from the outside wall over. That finds the center point of this little piece of wall that's going to define the doorway onto the deck. Then I got to go over 4 foot 1.5. That's going to find the center point of the door. But so I actually need 2 of those to get the next wall. So this is this little wall that we've got going on here. And we can see from the outside wall, this is 2 foot 8 inches down. So that's where the wall is. This is not a wall, but these 2 are center points. So I'm going to offset 2.25. Offset, 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 offset. Erase the centers, don't need them right now. And trim those away, trim up there. I'm probably going to fill it, that corner to that corner and that corner to that corner, just because if it's crossing some other walls somewhere else, a trim might leave ghosts at the edges. And since a fillet just means I don't need to zoom out, so that's why I did it that way. So I got those little pieces of the wall there. If we come over, I might come and do sort of this room next. And it looks as if what happens is, just like on the other side, this comes down. Interestingly enough, it seems to me, it's not marked, but it looks like that wall should... Oh, you know what? And this is going to be off too, because the interior walls, I see a mistake. It's a little tricky one. The interior walls here are only 4.5 inches. The exterior ones are 6.5. It seems like there's a misalignment here at the stairs to the basement, because this is going to be a wall. This certainly can't move from the basement level to here. So I'm not sure if there was a mistake in dimensioning in the basement, or if I misplaced something in the basement. I mean, my dimensions in the basement I think worked out. But these are the things that happens when you're drawing architecture. You got to get things to be in alignment. Anyway, I'll start drawing this wall up. I'll offset it the 4.5 inches that it is in thickness. I'll trim this up. Boom, boom. I mean, you know, the stairs could move, or even this could slide over. There's lots of ways of resolving this issue. But something is misaligned somewhere. Let's see. Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume, especially since I didn't have all the dimensions on the stairs in the basement, that the first floor should really be designing the stairs. So I'm going to move this over. And it's moving over 2 inches. So technically, although you would have already had a grade for the basement, I should come over here and move this whole thing over 2 inches. You know, I can grab this whole stair here, move it over 2 inches. Oops, I didn't grab everything. Well, I shouldn't worry about it in this video, because you guys aren't going to do it anyway. But that's what I could do. I could just grab those stairs, take a little more time to select them, move them over 2 inches. I know I have them in alignment. There's actually other ways of working with AutoCAD as well that can get you to make sure you have this precise alignment. We're not covering them in this class. What I'm doing here is, since I'm putting in a solid wall, I'm erasing the stair layer wall. I used a lighter line weight to do the stairs, but this is a wall. The stairs will remain the same here. The other thing is, it could be railing space. Well, these stairs, if the stairs are going here, and that's my clear dimension, they got a line. That's where they got to be. So I'm going to offset a wall 17.4 to do this living room. Again, and that is from the outside wall, way out here. Zoom in a little bit to get that. That sets up this wall right here. That's the center point, so I got to offset 2.25. And then the top of this wall that's sort of cut off here is another 4, 1.5 inches up. So offset 4 foot 1.5. And I'm going to fillet this to here, that to there, and I can erase this and trim up this wall so it makes a nice T on this side and a nice little T on that side. And trim up the stairs here. In theory, again, it depends on how accurate the stairs were in the basement, I should be able to offset 2 foot 2.25 and get the center point of this railing, and we can see that is not the case there, and that these stairs would be moving down, and so I'm going to move them down in my plan, and if I'm moving them down in plan, move it 2.25, they should be located correctly to get that dimension. But if I move them in here in this plan, I should be moving them over here in my basement plan as well. And as I go along, I might find some missing dimensions or something else that that says I made a mistake somewhere, which is possible when you're doing something so complex as this. It can happen to anyone, even me. So this is going to be a wall. Let's put it on the wall layer by matching properties, and the center line of this wall, I'm going to just draw from the midpoint to mark the center line, is over 8 foot 4.5 inches. Offsets this way, and there is, that's I guess that's the center point of that, the little wall here that comes down to define the beginning of the stairs. Offset 2.25. Now there's some other clues that make me think the stairs weren't drawn correctly in the things we have. Besides the fact that the person who gave me this work said they know of errors. They didn't give me specific examples, but they know of some. But also the fact that we weren't given this down on the other side, and there's a little mistake that I'll talk about when we're drawing the stairs in this part as well. That's pretty clear from the drawing. So that's why I'm sort of making the assumption that, oh, maybe it's just the stairs that are wrong. Now, for most of this stair, most of this is all wall, so I'm going to match properties, MA, and turn all this stuff onto the wall layer to do this next step. And we can see I've got some issues here where I turn stairs into a wall layer. There's different ways of handling that. I'm just going to trim out those bad stairs, and just since I'm doing it right now, I'm going to draw in a single line, draw a single line there, then match properties to turn those walls onto my stair layer. Because this wall that I'm defining out here actually gets filleted all the way to this guy here and here. And then I can, once I have that, I can extend this guy out, and the top of the wall is in alignment at this point, so I'll draw a line over, fill it together here, fill it together there, and then do some trimming up as need be and erase that line right there. So there's the walls there. I know I didn't put the wall line here, and that's because the wall actually ends up here, and we'll get to that when we're looking at the detail. Actually, I can sort of define it because I think I can just count steps, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps up. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to draw a line right at this point that defines the end of my wall. And so I can pull up these lines here, pull up these lines here at the end of my wall, and when we come back to finishing details, we can finish the stair railing. We got some work to do in the stairs in there as well. But those are all the interior walls done. So I'll just step back over, and I can see like, oh, I had a center line here that I used. I can just clean that up. I might find some other mistakes as I go along. Certainly have to do the fireplace, have to do doors and windows and all of those things. But there's my interior walls. Since I was working on the stairs, I'm just going to zoom back in and take care of that. We don't have any details on the length of those stair railing or whatever this post. There's a post down in here. That would be taken care of in a detail anyway, so I'm not super concerned about drawing it accurately. But I'm going to go to my medium layer, which is what I used when I made the stairs, and I'm going to start by finding the center point of where this railing is going to be, and I'm just going to offset I'm going to offset 1 inch. I'll call it 2 inches as a railing, and erase the center point. So I'm saying I got 2-inch railing there, and then maybe this is based off of a 4x4 down here. So I'll go with 3.5-inch square. And for that, I'm going to draw a polyline, 3.5 inches, 3.5 inches, up over like that. Draw the square. I'm just drawing it off to the side, and then I'm going to center it sort of on this object. So I'll draw a line so I can move from center point to center point. That's just centering it in this direction, and then I got to move it up to sort of be congruent with the bottom of the stair. So that can be trimmed out, this can be trimmed out, this can be trimmed out, this can be trimmed out. Now we see my stairs are a little short, so I'll just extend those to touch the railing. And again, the exact details can be determined later. In the drawing, there's a little detail about what the cap of that looks like. I'm not even going to worry about that for this drawing. I think it's so small at this scale, can't even see it. So that's perfectly fine. I always say don't draw small stuff. If you're going to have a specific detail for that, because you're going to design it, then you draw it. If it's something you get out, from a manufacturer, well, you don't need it either, because you just say it's this post and they buy it as is. So don't spend too much time drawing detail that you can't see when you print it out. That's something you learn when you hand draft it a lot, but if you're just dealing with AutoCAD, you sometimes forget what that limit is. But that's okay. That's okay. That's why we go over these things. So the stairs are pretty much done. Since it's sort of deals with the wall and sort of looks incomplete, for the sake of it, I'm going to go over here and do the fireplace next. We can see that we have an opening that's 3 feet wide at the front. So I'm going to start from drawing my center point down. I'm going to offset 1'6", which is half of 3 feet. There and there. And that is going to be my opening. Then we see that it sort of angles back, and there's no specific angle. There's not even a depth of this, and I'm sure there's probably rules for making a fireplace. I am not an expert in fireplace construction, just from my past experience. It's not something that I built. You could look it up in graphic standards. But again, if you're really building this fireplace for a contractor, you might need to give a detail of that anyway. So I'm just going to come out. I mean, I can actually I can make a good guess of what that is, but I don't think it matters much. So I'm just going to come out and draw a line approximately where I think it should go in this location. And then I'm going to draw one line at an angle to what I think looks good, say right here. And then I'm going to mirror this line from the middle point of my chimney, which is way out here, because that'll make it perfect, because since I just sketched in this back line, it's not centered. Even if it looks close, it's not quite centered. So then I'll fill these together to do this and this and this. We'll notice that, of course, I have a different layer, and it doesn't matter. I'm just going to match properties and put this all into this layer. And then presumably anything beyond this point is all brick or masonry or whatever it's made out of. It's not quite what the floor plan is showing, but that's, I mean, I suppose you could maybe do what they're doing. I don't think you really can. So, and I don't know what the elevations are yet to sort of verify. So I'm going to make my fireplace look like this, a little different than what they have in the plan. There's also a hearth here, which is coming out and marking. I'm going to put that on a light line layer. Because it's on the floor. I'd even consider putting it on even the hatch layer, but I'm going to keep it on the light layer for now. And this is 4'8" wide. So again, I'm going to mark the center point. I'm going to offset half of 4'8", which is 2'4". That'll mark the edges. And then I'm going to come out 1'6". So I'm going to offset 1'6", just any line here. Fill it this to this, fill it this to this, trim up a line up here, trim a line down here, and then match properties from here to here. And that's that little detail. Okay, I think the next good spot to work on would probably be doors. So doors we're going to put on the medium layer, so I'll switch to medium. Maybe I'll start with this front door down here. And maybe in some of these cases there's doors mixed, like the front door is mixed with side lights, which are windows. So I may sort of do some of that together. We can see it's in the center point. The dimensions are the same. So we know there's a center point here. So I'm going to strike a line using my midpoint. The first door is 36 inches wide, or 3 feet. So I can go 1'6" to each side. Erase at this middle point. This is my wall. It's of course going to come through the brick. I should have just drawn my line all the way through, but I can extend my line down using the extend command at this point if I want to as well. And I can trim out all the stuff on the inside. We see the trim does take away the hatch as well. Now this, even though my doors are going to be on medium, remember the edges of things are always on the wall layer. So I'm going to put those on the wall layer. And I have two little windows that I can start to line in, which are 24 inches over. And I can mark those just like that, just like this. I'm going to have a little bit of cleaning up to do because of the section line that I have in here. That's fine. I can do some erasing. Another way to clean this up. So again, I'm just putting in my openings, putting in the pieces where they need wall layers, and then I can come back and draw the rest of my work. So if I draw my door, we're actually going to use a new command in this lesson that might have some doors for us that we can use. But in the past we've drawn doors, so if I keep with that standard, I'm going to start with a polyline to draw the door rectangle, which is going to be 36 inches. This one I'll make 1 3/4 inches wide because it's an exterior door. Come here, and I can move this right into place like that. I can draw an arc like that to get my door. And I'll worry about my windows layer later, but that could be windows. I do need a threshold really on each side of this door. So I'm going to draw lines back in, and I'm going to put them on the light layer. And actually, since these are going to be my sills, I might as well just extend them at this point over and over. But I'll fill in the rest of the windows layer in a minute when I do it. Of course, if you're doing your own, you can go ahead and just do the windows if you want. Let's see, there's a door up in here. There's no dimension on it, so I'm going to assume we were sort of offset 3.5 inches, or even 3 inches could probably work. But I'm going to do 3.5 because that's what I said earlier. So offset that. I'm going to come down 30 inches. Trim this up. And this is a 30-inch door. So it's a different size door, so I got to draw my rectangle. Since this is interior, I'm going to call this 1 3/8 inches. Again, I don't think it really matters at this scale whether your door width symbols are actually different widths or not, because that'll be handled in the schedule. But there we go. I put it in that way. There is a door up in this location. It looks like it's a 36-inch door, and it looks like it's centered in the space. So I'm going to mark from my midpoint and offset 1'6" up and down. Erase this, trim this up, and I'm just going to match properties to get this in. Now, since this is an exterior door and it is the same size as my door down here, I'm just going to copy this door from the base point up to where I need it, which is here, and then I'm going to rotate it into place. And I've got a 30-inch door here, which I'm offsetting. I already defined this point, so I can offset 30 inches this way, trim it up. And since this is the same door as this, or at least in size, I can copy these elements, pull it up. Now I purposely didn't snap it into place because I'm going to start by rotating it down. We can see what happens when I do that. The door is on the wrong side, so I'm just going to mirror the whole thing over. And since I had to do all of that, we did this. Now I did this really quick. I said yes when I mirrored, so it removed the other door. If you didn't say yes because the default is no, you'll just have to erase that door. I just sort of so quickly did it out of habit there. So there we go. There's that door. We got some doors up here. This door is labeled at 72 inches. Well, that's 6 feet, so it's twice 3 feet door. So I can offset 3 foot on each side. Oops, missed my offset there. Try again. Trim out the wall. Put this on the wall layer. And since I have an exterior door that's 3 feet big, right here, I will copy this guy up and over. And this is just going to need to be rotated and moved into place from one base point to another, and then I can just mirror this door to be the other side of that door. And I do not want to erase the original in that case. So got the double door there in that. Almost all. There's a door actually in here which I'm going to guess is centered. It's hard to tell whether it's centered or not. I'm going to say it's centered. It's a 30-inch door, so I'm going to offset 15 inches to each side to get the door location. Trim this up. Match those there, and it is pretty much the same door as this guy. So I'm going to copy that from here to there. And I got the doors. There's actually, I guess there's a door in garage. I shouldn't neglect the garage at all. So come in here. This door is 4 feet over from the wall. It's centered. It's a 36-inch door that's centered, so I'm going to offset again 1 foot 6. Erase the center line. Extend these lines down. Then trim the lines up and trim out the insides to get the opening. And it's going to be this size door. It's going to be the size door here. It's going to be the wrong way, but so I'll start by rotating it, and then again mirror, and I'll say Y or yes to erase the original, and then move him into place. Then down along this wall, there's actually some garage doors that are 108 inches wide each. Offset 1 foot. Oh, there's a little, got to fix that corner. Fill that corner together. Offset 1 foot clear. So I'm going to offset 1 foot and extend this up to be the jamb. Trim that out and then offset the 108 inches to be the garage door. And then I have a gap of 1 foot 4, so offset 1 foot 4 and a gap of 108, 90 feet. There. And I'll draw a line here, a line here. They're showing the garage door sort of up. That's the dotted line that we basically see there. So I'm going to make this sort of sill. I've got some other places the transitions I wasn't really paying attention to, but I've got one there, so I'll come back and fill this in now. Boom, there. Technically there's a transition. It's not shown in the plan, but there's got to be one here or somewhere, transition between the inside and the different sort of materials. Although there is tile here, it's not showing tile in there, but I'll put my line there in this case. And here, well, the reality is I probably have a stair that comes in here. It's not showing the stairs down. There's no information about that actually on these two plans. So I talked about last week how I didn't know this dimension. Well, there's maybe not even quite enough information here to fully resolve that issue. So we'll just do it however we want to do it. So I'm going to leave that open for now. And I'm going to come back to do that. I need to think about that. But Let me draw the line out here. And since I'm working on doors, I'm going to finish these doors. I'm going to come out 7 feet. I'm going to make an assumption about the height of that garage door. Again, I'm going to draw the same object out here. I'm using the snap where I go to one point and slowly pull up with the green line to get it aligned. Right? Of course, this needs to be on a layer with they're using what layer did they use here? Center line. They might have changed the layer type, which I don't want to do. I'm just going to put it on the hidden line light because that's what I would do anyway. So a slight variation from what they have there. But that'll be those doors. And let me take care of these stairs now. Now I'm jumping around a bit. I'm going to have a top stair. Like, these stairs are the stairs that go up to the second floor. But I do have stairs that go down to the basement here. And I will see them. The way that this would properly be drawn is I need to copy this brake tag. I need 2 of them. Because this, and I can keep them here, although some people say I should move it over. But this is the stairs going up. I'm going to put a brake line for the stairs going up. This is how you show a gap. And then I need to show the stairs as they are coming down. Usually there's a stair somewhere around the entrance, like in that location. So I'm going to mark that as the edge of the stair. I'm going to offset 10 inches and 10 inches because that's what each of my stairs are, and just sort of clean this up to make this go to edge there. But this stair needs to be trimmed out around the brake line. So I'm going to trim there and even there. Right? So this is my stairs down to the basement. So I had to make a lot of assumptions about these stairs going down. The reality is I probably, as I'm sort of sitting here thinking of it, since this should be aligned, I should actually erase these stairs and do it another way, which is continue this line over, because it's probably aligned. So I'm going to offset 10 inches this way, 10 inches this way, and 10 inches this way. Actually, look at it, it actually worked out. I didn't have to erase because it's exactly as I drew it, which is a good sign, because it might mean that I've got some of these dimensions right, even after the fact that I had to sort of tweak them as I was going along and drawing. So there we go, I'll put them back in the same spot. So there's stairs down to the basement, stairs up to the second floor. That would be a more accurate way of drawing this detail than which is actually shown in the plan that we have for you here. So I've got that drawn. I'm going to go and start drawing my windows. I started some windows down here, so I might as well go to them. We've been drawing our windows on the light layer, so just to keep with that, I'll switch my layers to light. And I sort of did this simplified trim for windows. So I'm going to make a polyline of 2 inches. Actually, I'm going to undo that. 4 inches. I want to go 4 inches in this direction, 2 inches in that direction. And that's going to be my frame, which I'm going to center, or actually not going to center, I'm going to put on the inside of my wall like that. I'm going to copy this straight over to this point and draw a line here. It's not in your plan. I want to draw a line here as well, but since it's not in our plan, I'll just leave that out. So I'll mirror this guy because it's the same location right there. So that's how this is done. Really, I should get rid of these lines because there's no line there. This is all sort of that. Or actually, I guess it could be a different height. I don't know. I'd have to check the elevations, but it certainly wouldn't be cut. So if this is sort of a sill marking, I'm going to turn them to a light line layer and say that that's what I can do from the information provided. I see there's windows here. This window is, it has that question mark, so I don't know if it's centered, so I'm going to have to offset 6'8" from the edge of this brick over. That's the center point of that window. system, and that window system has 2 windows, each at 36 inches, so I'm going to offset 36 inches, just 3 feet. This will be the edge of my wall, so I can trim up everything that's on the inside there. Trim up here, and trim up here, and draw in the rest of my window. And I have one of these sort of simplified window trims here on that side. Copy it over to this other side. And they're sort of ganged together right in the center. Oops, I missed my snap point. So I gotta fix that and just move it right over. I'm gonna have another one of these directly in the center. So I'm gonna draw a center point line for my midpoint snap. Copy from my midpoint snap over to get that perfectly centered. You can erase that guideline and draw in. This one doesn't even have a line here, but I'm definitely going to put a line on this side for the sill. Put a line in there for those windows. I've got to see, where else do I have windows? I've got a window over here. Again, it's actually, since the dimensions are the same that I'm given, I know it's the same. So I'm going to just mirror these right around. I'm going to just start by just the endpoints of the windows. And I knew the door was centered, so I'm going to mirror them around. I'm just doing the end walls just to make the trim easier for doing that, for cleaning that up. Now I'll just mirror the rest of these pink lines right over. I mean, you know, if you don't want to use mirror, you could draw it out identically to the way I did that one. So we got that windows in there, and I've got a few windows, it looks like, in the back of the house. So come up here. Whew, this is a lot of drawing here, a lot of drawing. This one's 6'4". So I'm going to offset, that's the center line, 6'4" right over. And there's actually 3 windows at 1'6", which means I've got 1 3-foot clear plus another half, which is 1'6". So that's 4'6" I can offset. If you didn't want to do the math, you could just draw out the windows and move them into place and find it. Also works. But if you don't mind doing the math, just do the math and get it done. Oh, you know what? I realize there's an opening in my wall right here I'm going to have to draw. Let me place this window first and I'll come back and do that. I'm going to pause this for sneeze for a second. Alright, and keep drawing. That goes there. 36 window. This math is not gonna work out. If I keep copying this window over 36, I'm gonna show you what's gonna happen. Right, because they're 36-inch wide windows. The problem is the way I've interpreted it. These two things, it's a center point. It's 36 from the edge to the center, right? That's the way that I sort of first interpreted it. As these ganged windows, but the whole opening, I think, is just going to be this total opening. So we got to redefine these center points. And the way you do that is I'm going to actually have these endpoints. I got to go from the midpoint of that frame to the midpoint of this frame, and I have to use the divide command. And I have to divide by 3. And that's going to put a little object snap. Actually, I probably have to turn it on down here. I need to turn on nodes. I got nodes on. Okay. If your nodes aren't on, you're going to have to turn it on for this. If I come over here, I'll find that little symbol right there. That's actually the exact third point of this window. And I'll do that here and here. And now I can move from the midpoint of that shape over, midpoint of that shape over. Now that's the way I've interpreted this based on the information that's provided here. If I had the window schedule and knew more about these windows in detail, it might turn out that that interpretation is wrong and that the opening had to be wider. I think that's a valid interpretation of this as well. But again, the fact that we doesn't matter too much, that's why we dimension to the midpoint of windows, because when you get the exact window information, I'm going to actually pull these back. When you get the exact window information, that will set the exact size. And we can see I got plenty of room. If it's got to extend out an inch on one side or the other, there's room there to do that. So draw on that window there. Come over. Looks like I got to put in this window. There's a window here, but I have to find it from this window first. So I'm going to offset 3'5". And that window is 36-inch window, so offset 1'6" to find the edges. Trim this all up. Copy my sort of standard block that I'm using here in. Copy it on this side. Draw my line and draw my sills. Like that. Okay, and actually the way that this window is drawn is slightly different. And I see how they're drawing. It's hard for me to see that in this tiny little plan. They've actually extended these frames. I'm going to do the same out the thickness there. And that means I need to move this line back to the center. I'm going to fix this window to do the same. I'm going to stretch this all the way out up to there. I'm going to move these three lines out to here. And it looks like the actual way that they did this on this point is it's the same size, which is the framed wall, but not the bricks, which sort of makes sense. So I can stretch these windows down, move them down, and do the same over here. I guess here would be the same. So this would come to this way, to that depth. It's the same depth. I'm going to move these windows like I did before, and I am going to put this is, I'm going to assume the sill is here, and I'm going to assume that the whole sort of transition, oops, I did not mean to remove that piece of line. Pull this all the way over to there. I'm going to assume that that's sort of like that. That's a possible detail for that. Allows me to do that. So anyway, that was a little bit of a sidetrack. I've got one more window to do, which is a 48-inch window that is 8'2" over. So I'll draw the center point there, offset 8'2", and then offset 2 feet because it's a 4-foot window. Whoops, what did I type in? Try this again. And end my command, offset 2 foot there to there. Erase this guide point. I'm going to copy one of these guys over to here. Copy this guy over to here. And draw. Bing. Bang. Boom. My windows are done. You know, I'm just going to hit the save button, and you could do it. You can hit the save button anytime you want, just for safety. There's a couple framing members in here that I'm going to draw. So I'll come back to here, and I'll put these on the wall layer, because it's probably have a thick line weight. Looks like there's four 2x4s sitting in there. So I'm going to draw a 2x4, which is 3.5 inches by 1.5. And just like when we did the detail, the little X to denote the structure, I'm going to put on the hatch layer. I'm going to copy it 4 times, well 3 times because I just want 4 copies. And I'm going to mark the center line of that wall, move it over to the center, And actually, what am I? The exterior walls are 2x6s, of course, so I need to extend it 2 more inches down. I'm getting tired. Whew. We can see that there's a difference of 1 inch there. Of course, this is probably for your finishes, so I'm going to move this down 0.5 inches just to get it centered in that location. And I'm going to mirror all the way up to just put it in the right spot up in here. There's also a little column that's right here, and that column is going to be the same point as the column in here. So I'm just going to copy from this point here, and I'm going to grab the center lines because I'm going to need the center lines as well. And I'm going to go from the exterior corner of that wall, which should match the exterior corner of that wall, and it'll be placed right in. In this particular drawing, the center line of the vertical one's from top to bottom, so I'll just extend my line up to do the same, but this one is short, so I'll leave that one short. Oh, and I should note I've got a little set of stairs here. There's no detail on how wide those stairs are specifically. They're bigger than the 3 feet clear needed. We can see that because they look like they probably align with the midpoint of these walls, which is marked at 4 feet. So let me draw a line just here. I'm going to put it on my stair layer, the one we're using is medium. I'm going to mark a line over and offset 2 feet. Make that assumption that they're 4 feet wide, and that each stair will say is 10 inches wide, just like before. So I need to come out 2 offsets to draw that shape in. Here and here, extend and extend. There and there. Match that to draw that set of stairs there. Alright, pretty good, pretty good. The last few things we need to put in is the cabinetry, sort of in the kitchen, and the equipment, and the sinks and the toilets, which are all going to be on the equipment layer. Ooh, I'm getting close to finishing all the drawings here. Actually, I got to do the porches too. Oh boy, this drawing assignment goes on forever. Alright, so let me do a kitchen. I'm going to offset 2 feet to draw the kitchen cabinets, because that's what kitchen cabinets are. You can actually see it says 2. There is a dimension on there even. Didn't even need that. That's 2 foot there to there. I can fillet this together. I'm going to put, there's different layers I could probably put this cabinetry on. I know I'm going to put the sink and stuff. The instructions say to put it on the equipment layer, so I'm going to put these on the equipment layer. Some people might say you want to put it on another layer. That's all debatable, but that's what I'm going to put it on there. There seems to be no. This cabinet goes to here. I'm trying to figure out where the bottom cabinet goes. It's actually not marked, but I actually have an opening in the wall here that I need to punch through here, and I'm going to say it's aligned from there to there. So I'll trim this wall up. Missed that line. Draw this line over. Fillet that together and match my properties, and then fillet that together and match my properties. So this cabinet stops short of this. I'm going to say 3 inches, so I'm going to offset 3 inches up this end point of the wall, extend it out. Extended the wrong way. Trim it up here, fillet. I should have just done a fillet because that would have been easier. And then put that on my cabinet layer, just like that. So there's my cabinet. Looks close enough. I'll come back in and fill in the stove location when I show you how to do that in the sink. Or maybe I'll just show it now. Maybe it's a good time to show it. So to do some of these pieces of equipment, sinks, toilets, stoves, we're going to use a new tool. And to do that, I'm going to use my Design Center. So I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to go to Design Center over here. And it's going to pull up something like this. And if this is the first time that's sort of opening on your computer, you might be up a couple levels. It might just open up to your AutoCAD. I'm trying to see if I can find right here. It might just stop at this AutoCAD level. But what you need to do, if it does that, you need to come down and go to Samples and click on the Samples. And then you want to click on this. It's going to be down low here, ENUS. and then Design Center. And you're going to see a bunch of AutoCAD drawings in here. So if I go to House Design and I go to Blocks, I can see things like tubs and toilets and things like that. And there's another one that we'll be using. In this case, I can go down to Kitchen and open up the blocks, and I can see stoves and other such things, or ranges as I guess they're called. So I'll select this range. I'll double click on it and say OK, and it will put it right in my drawing for me now. And I'm going to be using this, so I might just slide this right over to the side of my screen. So put it in here. Looks like it's the same range, so that's good. I'm going to rotate this into place and move it from a center point into here. Now, a lot of times, I don't know if we're going to be doing it in this class, but a lot of times there are kitchen details that will specify kitchen each cabinet dimension and sizes. So we don't see the dimensions on the regular floor plan. That's typical. So I'm just going to have to make some estimations here. Maybe this is up a 3-foot cabinet. Actually, it's probably not that tall. So I'm going to undo that. Maybe it's a 2'6" cabinet. Coming up there, that looks about right. And I can move this into here. Now, this came in at my hatch layer because that's what I have selected, but I want to turn that to the equipment layer, and you see the block is set up to absorb whatever layer you have there. This isn't going to be working on the equipment. I should just move my layer to there. But there we go. That's the stove. And the sink, I should be able to find something similar. So come to my blocks. There we go. I guess I got to pull it out to see it. Here, see sink, double sink. Select on this. Say OK. And I'm going to start by just selecting the midpoint of my window because it is aligned with the midpoint. And I'm going to pull it down just a little bit just to estimate its location. I think that's fine. It's interesting. The drawing has a faucet placed in there too, which you can get from here. I don't think it's needed. It adds nothing to the drawing or no information, so I'm not even going to do that. We see there's dotted lines here, here, and here, and here. Those are the upper cabinets. They are 1 foot out typically from the wall, so I'm going to start by going offset 1 foot here, and I'm just going to do it there, and I'm going to fill it together here to here. Now this will be aligned with the cabinet, so I'll trim it along there. This probably turns into a hood or something so the line can continue across, but we usually don't put cabinets above sinks or of course in front of windows. So I'm going to have to draw a line down from the edge of the windows and trim up the upper cabinets in between there and there. And then all of these lines will want to go on the hidden layer because that's what you do with things that are above you that you don't see, which is the case here. The cabinets, are above that cut line. So I'll just change them all to the hidden layer like that. So that's what that dotted line is and how you make it. And the last thing in the kitchen there is a little island here. So we have some dimensions for that. I'm going to start at the left-hand side. I come up 2'3". I'm going to come over 2 foot on that side. Let's see, I'm going to have to sort of construct this. So I'm going to come over 2'10" because that's what the dimension is. And I think if I did this right, I'm going to come over another 2 foot. Oh, I don't know what I typed in there. Let me undo that. Go over another 2 foot. And that's going to be this edge, and it's going to come down another 2'3". Of course, that's 2 foot. I just have it in the right spot now. And so if I draw a line there and a line there, that's going to be my cabinet. Interestingly enough, there is no dimensions on where to locate this, but I can make the assumption I'm going to draw a line down from here to here and say that this whole cabinet edge is at that point in that location. And then top to bottom, it visually isn't there. It's pretty close to where I have it, so you might just move it and put it to where you think it should go. Again, if this were a real set, it probably would have a kitchen blow up detail anyway, and help with that. Then we got some inside lines. I don't know what the island actually has in it, and because that dotted line could be a few things, but it's clearly a foot offset from the back. So I'll offset a foot from the back, fill it, fill it, fill it, and put those on the hidden layer. Just like that. Got that dotted line there. Alright, and then we have a fridge down in this location. So I'll pull out my design center. Refrigerator, I don't know what, so refrigerator 2 I'll try, but the fact that there's 2, there's probably a 1. And don't know what was used in the drawing. Rotate it around, then move from midpoint to midpoint, and that fits pretty well, so I'm going to assume that that is there. There's a little shelf here. I'm going to call it 1 foot out, and put it on the same layer. I'm putting everything else in. Assuming it's a set of shelves that come down all the way down. That shelf could be 9 inches in real life, but I made mine a foot. Oh, I've got an opening in this wall. I was supposed to do that, wasn't I, before? I'm going to do that now. Offset 2 foot 6.5 from the exterior wall there, and offset, I need a midpoint line from here because I'm going to offset that 2 foot 2 1/4. Pull that line down there, trim these lines up as needed that way, trim out those lines there, and match properties on all of that, and I got that opening. Oh, got a little straight line here I have to erase. Okay. Now, let's see. I did this. I've got to do a bathroom in here. So I'm going to go, I think those are going to be found under my house design center. So click back up here, go to blocks, and I can pull out the oval sink, which looks like they used. Drop that into place there, and a toilet. Just pull this out and drop this in. Close that up for now. Rotate this up. I'm going to move this from the center point to the end point there. I'm going to move it over 18 inches. That's a quick, easy way to set a toilet. And I could, in theory, do the same center point to the wall and move over 18 inches and set it. Looks like the sink's over more. There might be a bathroom detail, something that says exactly where to plumb it. But so I'll just eye it into place there, and I will come up, and there's cabinets here and a washer and dryer. So the cabinets are going to, just like these cabinets, are going to be 24 inches out, 2 feet. There to there. Fill it together. I'm going to call it my design center. I shouldn't have closed it because I got these washer and dryers to do. Design center, insert. Design center. Let's see. There's no washer and dryer in this plan. You know what? I think they might just be rectangles. I don't think they came from design center actually. I will check the kitchen. Who knows? Maybe they're in there. I don't have everything memorized in the design center. I hope that you never have everything memorized in here either. Yeah, so I don't see it. So I'm gonna sketch out on my layer. I'm gonna do a polyline and say that they are 2 foot 6 or 30 inches by 30 inches, 2 foot 6. Same number each, just square. And they're going to be identical. So I'm going to move this just off the corner and just eyeball it up a little bit. I'm going to copy this up here, and then I can sort of see there's a little wing. Looks like I'm going to be a little short at 2 foot 6 because that's only 11 inches coming down. We clearly have more. So maybe these things should only be 2 foot 3 inches. So each one I'm going to stretch 3 inches here, 3 inches there, 3 inches here, and I've got 2'3" rather than 2'6". If I measure this, I've got 1'5", so I can probably going to come down offset 1'3" to define the edge of that cabinet, which typically come in 3-inch increments. So I can fillet those together and turn them all onto the same layer that I'm working with here, then offset them 12 inches to get the 12 inches to get this upper cabinet that's implied by the dotted line along this wall. Trim it there, make it the dotted line it's supposed to be. Oh, and actually I've got this sort of work sink in this location. So back to insert, back to design center. So I'll do this sink right here. Close design center. Center on that. It's not centered on that window, is it? Because the window definitely comes over. Actually, it looks like my sink is bigger than the one they have installed. So let me see if there's another one. Design center. That's a 30-inch sink. I can actually, there's actually a way of changing it. If I take this, because it's a block, if I type in properties, I can select on it here, and I can change the scale of the X direction, make it like 3/4 of an inch. We can see it sort of put everything in and rationalizes it like that. So if I have it centered on the window, looks correct width now, I can just pull it down a little bit. So that's another way of doing that trick. I don't need the properties box anymore, so I'll close that. That's most of the equipment. I'm noticing I have a door here that I need to put in that I missed, and I've got a line here. There's also hatches to put in. Oh, and the decks, and oh my goodness, lots of things. I'm going to save the hatches till after I put in the notes and dimensions. And that's so it goes around the text more easily. But I can put in some of these other elements. This door is a 2-foot door centered in this closet. So I'm going to offset a foot from the midpoint. Trim this up and match my properties. Here to here, here to here. And I'm going to draw a door. So each wing of this door is going to be a foot long because it's a bifold door. I'm going to offset it the same distance as my door widths, here and here. I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees. All right. So I have one length of that folding door. And then I'm going to mirror just like that to get the other piece of that door. That's how I did that door. I just did a rectangle, rotated it, then mirrored it right up into place. There is a line that says edge of upper floor right here. Presumably it's a 45-degree line from this corner. It's not clear. Again, if I had the second floor, I would know it. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set this, rotate 45 degrees, extend the line over, and then make it on this hidden line layer that I've been using to get it to be a dotted line. So I got that line there. I think that takes care of most everything on the inside that's not a note. I've got these decks to do on the outside as well. So this one's shortened because we had to shorten it to get it on the page, right? So that's why we did that. And this one needs to be drawn at full size. And you see these little X's where the 6x6, that's what the notes say, 6x6 posts are coming up. Those are going to be centered right on this point. So I can go to my home layer. I can go to my walls layer, and I can draw a polyline that's 5.5. That's what a 6x6 is, a 5.5 by 5.5. And I can put the little X inside. Put that on hatch layer. where's my hatch? There you go. And I can move these from here to there. Right? So I just use the center point of that circle to place it. And I can do that, then I can copy that in for all of these places. Here, 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 and here. I will assume then that it's the same up here, so I can just keep copying them right up to this circle here and here and here. And now I don't need those circles anymore. I know I'd copied them over, but I can erase. There's a detail of these posts. Then there's a second sort of square around the posts. I don't have the dimensions for. I don't. Quickly looking over the notes, I don't see it there, so I'm just going to say they're offset. I'm going to see what happens if I offset 3/4 of an inch. See if it looks about right, because it could be a 1 by applied. It looks too skinny. So I'm going to undo that. What if I offset 1.5 inches? I'm going to say that looks better. Yeah, so there's no dimension. Actually, I'm on the wrong side, because on the back side it doesn't have that offset. It's only on the front side of the house. Erase. There we go. Sorry about that. Only down here I'm going to offset 1.5 inches to do this detail here, 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 here. And the deck comes up. Now the deck, I would put, well, there's going to be railing, but the deck edge I would put on the light layer. That's the layer I would put it on. It's coming right off the corner of these things, and in this case right down, well, actually is 1 foot off, 1'4", so I can come down this way. Oh, actually interesting. I could figure it out because it's telling me, oh no, it's just doing the center line. So actually I can just, sorry, just looking over the drawing. The reality is it comes up from graphically. That's all we have is a graphic representation right from the corner. And I can draw lines between here and here. And I'm going to have to clean up some of this line for the stair later on, but I'll start by drawing there to there, and there to there, and here to here. Right, so that's the outline of the deck. And then there's railing, which is going to be centered on these columns. I'm going to say the railing's 2 inches for now, so I'm going to offset this 1 inch on either side. This railing will want to be sort of the same layer we're doing the railing over here, so I'll just match properties to this guy. So there's going to be a few different line weights in there, and of course it's going to come centered across here as well. There to there, I can just draw the center line. Again, I know I have to come and clean this up for the stairs, but I'll start that way there, go here, and this railing is going to be the same, so I can mirror this from my midpoint right over to keep that. But these I have to build offset 1 inch on each side. Erase the midpoint line and change the layer. Alright, and I got to build the stairs. 2'8" over. From this column, I got to go over 2'8". And there's a 2x6 there, and it comes out. I'm going to assume 10 inches for the stairs, so I'm going to offset 10 inches. And there's 2 of them here. So right there is going to be the center point of my 2x6. Well, actually not the center point. You'll see here. It's the half center point and half edge. So actually the edge in that direction and a center point in this direction. Erase that there, assuming that it's mirrored in place. I'm just going to mirror it, put it there, and then I have to draw the railing up from the center point. Draw that line there, offset 1 inch, erase this line here, match this here. Since I'm going to mirror this whole thing, I'll just fillet those together, and I can mirror the railing to be that side. And then I need to trim up the edge of the deck. So I just have to trim there and there, and this line actually gets trimmed all the way through here. This line gets trimmed through to here, and this line gets pulled. I'm just going to pull this all the way back to there, to here. The actually interesting thing, as I sort of think about it, it's hard to tell. These, I'm assuming these go up and hold up a roof or something. So it makes sense to put them on walls. These are probably not. These are just balusters. So I'm going to change those layers and put that all. I just want to do the green. Keep the X on the red. I'm going to do that there. And really, I should probably turn this exterior layer to blue in this case. So it's only the column. These are probably down lower. You know, not much above the railing there. And then the same. Don't want to neglect these guys. That was the edge of the porch anyway, except for the hatch, which I'll come back again and do in another video after annotation is over, at the end of annotation. But basically, the back end is done the same way. I'm going to start, looks like they're just aligning this deck at the edge of these elements. There. Then I'm going to switch to my medium layer to do the railing, and it's just centered on these guys. Like this, like that. This is going to be the same as the other end, so I can mirror it into place. And that, offset 1 inch on each side. Come back and do the stairs just like I did up front as soon as I get the base laid out. Again, this is not always only the way to do it. Some people, when they're drawing, they get frozen because they just don't know how to start, because they know if they did what I did, they know it would be wrong, but they're not sure how to do it right. And that, you know, just draw something and go and change it. If you come up with another way of drawing, that's fine too. There's actually a couple posts for this. Actually, these posts are different. I guess this is just a railing post. I see. Yeah, so this is not sitting on the columns because it's not structural. So what's going on here, I use the circles here because this is probably holding up a roof. And well, I can tell that because it says covered porch. This back deck is not covered, so this railing does not need to be structural, so it does not need to be over the foundations. So we can see that they indeed aren't over the foundations. And so because of that, I'm actually going to take out this detail of the X's. Alright, I could leave it in, but I'm going to take it out. And I'm going to have to place this in. So I've got one from the midpoint over 11'4". That's that. Well, guess what? That's where the circle was. But I've got more of these in here. I've got an equally distant one. So there's actually, I got to copy this over from that point here. I'm going to find the midpoint and sort of pull up to get that there. Actually, there was a midpoint snap there, which would made it easy. So I can trim that out. So that's how that one is done. And then there's one 4 feet over. That's the beginning of the stairs. I'm going to do 4 foot. Trim this up. And then I'm going to assume that the same side is mirrored. I mean, I know it's mirrored from the dimensions. So I can just mirror it over, trim that up there, trim this in here, and actually this gets erased. And the stairs are going to go down. So offset 10. 1, 2, and copy this guy and this guy out to here. Draw a line, offset it 1 inch. Here to here. Erase. Trim that up. Pull that in. Mirror this whole railing. Mirror this whole railing. There. Clean up the lines. It's actually interesting as I look at this. I have these stairs on a lighter line than my other stairs, but it's probably okay because these stairs are even going down further. I'll keep it that way. And I think other than the hatching and the notes that this is the end. So with that, I'm going to pause this video and I'm going to take a break. I'll come back in another video to finish up.